Wait, what is this video? How Destiny became the internet's most vile streamer. Yeah, I know he did 2,000 meals, among other things.
This one is personal. When I began my journey in political commentary, I made the decision that I would speak to absolutely everyone. And when I say that, I mean literally everyone. Not just people who agreed with me. In fact, especially not just people who agreed with me, but across the entire spectrum. Left, right, libertarian, progressive, anarchist. I didn't want an echo chamber. I actually wanted arguments that tested my thinking, not ones built from these cardboard cutouts. And that's the mentality that honestly led me to Valuetainment. And it's the mentality behind the creation of this idea of the dangerous conversations. And it was in that same spirit that I first met.
Wasn't she literally a friend of the stream? Kind of friendly-ish. She started to get turned onto the team Farha and team Lauren though a long time ago, which was funny because she messaged me once asking me to clarify something because I think Lauren or Jasmine had told her something that wasn't true. And then we had a conversation about, I saw my Instagram DMs with her. We had a conversation about it and I provided proof and I'm like, no, these people lie like crazy. But if you remain in any social group long enough, eventually I guess you'll turn. But it's so funny because I still have, assuming she didn't delete her account. Wait, hold on. This whole group of friends is like insane. Holy macaroni. Wait. We had a phone call about it. Oh, and then their text messages afterwards. So yeah, so I definitely still have those. But okay, all right. Well, then let's hear what did I personally do to slight this person who I've never had a bad interaction with or done anything bad to interpersonally ever in my entire life. Let's go.
And it's the mentality behind the creation of this idea of the dangerous conversations. And it was in that same spirit that I first met Stephen Bennell Jr., better known as Destiny, a couple of years.
Junior? I'm the second. Okay.
Back. Now, he was one of the first major streamers to really take me seriously, meaning he had me on his show several times. We debated, we disagreed, sometimes even aligned, surprisingly. And over time, we honestly built a rapport. You know, we shared friendship groups, group chats, we met up at birthday parties, and actually had some legitimately interesting conversations. Everything from values to philosophy and politics. Group chats, we met up at birthday
Holy curse.
parties.
Xena's the only real one
and
here.
Actually,
Xena the queen so far. Holy curse. Oh my God, how cursed is this? Jesus.
Had some legitimately interesting conversations, everything from values to philosophy and politics. And despite our differences, I always thought that there was like this mutual respect between us. But then everything changed. Everything changed when one of our mutual friends, another streamer who ran in our same circle, came forward with a disturbing allegation. Her name is Pixie, and she alleges that Destiny recorded her in a private moment and then sent that footage onto somebody else who then leaked it online for the entire world to see. And she never agreed to any of this. So currently, she is pursuing legal action. And according to her, it recorded her in a private moment and then sent that footage onto somebody else who then leaked it online for the entire world to see. Okay. And she never agreed to any of this. So currently...
What was the catalyst for the falling apart of that friend group? Probably a combination of Farha and Lauren. Would be my guess. I don't know how Farha plugged in though. Lauren is like a Kelly kind of person who she will sit in a friend group and do work for as long as she needs to though.
She is pursuing legal action. And according to her, she is not alone. She actually claims that there are multiple women with similar experiences. And for me, that was the moment. It was clear cut. I walked away from Destiny entirely. No ambiguity, no second chances.
We haven't talked in a long time. She didn't walk away from shit. I don't think we talked for like a year before that, but okay.
That crossed a line that really doesn't get to be blurred. And to make matters even worse, Destiny didn't even deny it. I actually covered this entire situation, like every single part of it on The Unusual Suspects earlier this year. But honestly, guys, things have only gotten crazier since then. So if you are at all interested in helping out with Pixie's case against Destiny, there is a link to her.
What happened with Farha? I think I've talked about this before, haven't I? Listen, just breaking up with Melina just introduced a lot of complexity to my life. Without getting too deep into the weird shit, Farha was just on some really weird, like, saying different things to me and Melina in ways that were, like, super sus and trying to get me and Melina to separate so that Farha could date me. In, like, the most, like, it was just, like, really crazy, bizarro, sus shit. I feel like didn't I go over all this on stream? I feel like I did this a long time ago. I don't want to fucking rehash all of this, like, all of this shit. Because it's all just, like, it's super weird and cringy interpersonal shit. But, like, I guess, so, like, for one, one example of this would be when it came to a boyfriend that Farha had. Like, she was telling Melina how much she was like super in love with this guy and, you know, like cherished him and wanted to move down with him and blah, blah, blah. But then when she would talk to me, she would like give me her phone. She'd be like, oh, like you should text this dude and like, you know, make him sound stupid for this, or you should do this. And I'm like, why don't you just break up with this dude or whatever? And she's like, oh, I cheat him on all the time and blah, blah, blah. I mean, okay, whatever, Jesus. But yeah, it was just like that's like one of like 50, and there's like more like crazy, weird, bizarro shit. That, yeah, so there's just, once I had figured out the, when, I feel like, I don't remember what I said publicly about all this or not. When Lauren De Laguna accused me of like secretly recording people because she wanted to throw that out there, it was in regards to a conversation that I'd had with Farah that I recorded so that Melina and I could listen to it, because somebody was going crazy here. Because every time I would talk to Melina and then every time I would talk to Farah, I'd get like completely different stories about fucking everything. I'm like, okay, I don't understand how I can have the same conversation with both of you and hear completely different things. So then I recorded a conversation with Farah, and then, you know, I was going through it with Melina. I'm like, okay, this is, and then she would show me the episode with Farah, and I'd be like, okay, this is like crazy. This is like, she's telling completely different things to both stories, or to both parties here. And that's when, that's why when everybody used to ask in the past, like, oh, why doesn't Farah come over anymore? That's why that separation happened. I thought I went over this on stream, or maybe I never said this publicly. Rip, but...
Her fundraising platform in the description of this video. She is fighting a battle that no one should ever have to fight alone, but fortunately she's seen
You did? Okay, yeah, I went over all this, I think. Okay.
A huge surge in support since going public with her story. This goes deeper than one alleged violation. In her statement, Pixie actually outlined how Destiny used his influence to manipulate dynamics within friend groups, how he downplayed what happened, even joked about it, and then turned mutual friends against her best friend at the time.
Also, for everybody saying that, like, and people say this, I wish I could go over this with more substance if I was allowed to read off that transcript, but like the honest truth is, so if you're getting sued for something, so one, these are like, the person is asking for a high dollar amount, okay? So regardless, the problem is the strategy for winning in court and the strategy for talking to the public don't always coincide. So the idea that, like, there's this very naive and retarded thing, and even fucking you retards are saying this to my fan base, like, oh, like, Jesse should just take accountability and blah, blah, blah. If there's a person on one side of this looking for $15 million, I'm not going to say fucking anything about this. Like, they can try to fight for and prove every aspect of this in court. Like, there's no way that I have any navigable room to start saying shit like, oh, like, maybe I made a mistake here. Maybe, no, fuck that. I'll allow them to prove every single aspect of that if they want to sue me for, like, when we're talking about, you know, like, life-ending sums of money. That's fucking retarded. And anybody that would have that expectation of me talking with specificity to the stuff that she's alleging in any of the court stuff was crazy. Now, as we've gone through the process more, and then I've seen where they're falling on things, and I see like how things have been filed, now I'm like more comfortable with it, right? In the beginning, the reason why I didn't say anything with specificity to like, oh, like, did anybody have consent here or whatever, is because the first part of the honest truth is that these were conversations happened a long fucking time ago. This is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago when we recorded these videos, and these were conversations in person. And I don't want to say something with like an imperfect recollection and then end up committing myself to some like storyline or committing myself to some, you know, phrasing that I'm like, oh fuck, no wait, I don't think that I said that. Because if I say anything publicly, obviously, right, Joanne, I guess, who doesn't have a job besides, you know, sitting here in legal office watching my streams all day, is going to start throwing these things in court filings. But if I could read off our transcript, now all the stuff that Pixie was saying under oath does align with stuff that I remember, and I would feel more confident if I could read it. Like, for instance, like I think funnily enough, I think Pixie gives 3 different answers in court about the agreement about us recording stuff. I think the first thing she says is, we recorded stuff, but we agreed to not like send it around to people or whatever. So something like kind of vague like that roughly aligns, like, yeah, like just don't like send it to everybody, obviously, right? You don't want it to leak. Then I think the second time, I think she says, I agreed for him to only show it to his wife. And then the third time, I think she says, I didn't agree for him to send it to anybody. So I think she gives 3 separate answers in the span of 1 hour. Now, if I'm being charitable to her side, it's because she probably doesn't explicitly and specifically remember. But this like kind of aligns with like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like I have like a general conversation about recording stuff or whatever. And then this is like generally, in the hearing, did the judge ask you questions too? Yeah, we were both on the stand, yeah. But I mean, it's a long time ago. But the idea that like I have to come out and give some crystal clear statement like right at the beginning of all of this, like, bro, this is a big civil case. Like, I'm sorry that you're not happy that I'm not going to come out and layer, you know, like all of these answers that the, you know, plaintiff can use to layer their legal arguments as perfectly as they want. Fuck that. That's insane. I also like, by the way, that Amy is making this video months, half a year into these legal proceedings. She's taking every single thing the plaintiff says at face value. She isn't evaluating any of, well, maybe she will hear on later on, isn't evaluating any of the later legal documents submitted, and is doing the exact same thing that she was on all these red pill shows when she was trying to get red pill dick, you know, trying to smash Myron and everything. And, you know, oh, don't believe women, and, you know, women lie all the time. But now she's like team, you know, 100% woman, I guess, because of however, I guess, where the political dominoes fall is fucking hilarious. So good job, Queen.
I'm Erin, how he downplayed what happened, even joked about it, and then turned mutual friends against her. Her best friend at the time, Erin, even while apologizing publicly and acting like he had taken responsibility for what was done. It was a masterclass in manipulation.
I love this too. How I'm always, where are my manipulations? What are these manipulations? What?
But guys, this isn't just about abuse. It's about control, and the kind of control that thrives in digital spaces where clout is currency and silence is protection. But despite the very clear evidence and the public attention, none of the platforms that have supported Destiny's career have even spoken out against him. There were no bans, no demonetization, no accountability.
Like, think of how insane what she's saying is. So if somebody sues you for something, you should automatically get banned and demonetized from every platform? Like, damn, she left the red pill arc, I guess, and went completely in the other direction? Like, what the fuck?
If anything, his brand has actually only grown. And unfortunately, this is a pattern that we have seen before, where creators are shielded by popularity and really profitability at the end of the day. This is an ecosystem where saying...
Like, this was the #1 Andrew Tate defender. Did she change her position on him?
There are two genders, get to penalize consequences that Destiny himself experienced back in 2022 when he was in somewhat more of a base frame of mind. But disturbing sexual content without consent somehow doesn't carry any serious repercussions whatsoever. But guys, Destiny actually sucks for many, many, many more reasons than the one that we just covered. Over the 4th of July weekend, Central Texas was devastated by flash floods that have claimed dozens of lives. Hundreds are still missing, and it has left communities devastated. As prayers and consolations poured in from all over the country, Destiny entered the conversation as well. And what was his take? Well, mostly just jokes about how the victims actually deserved it. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is actually what he said. Maybe the kids weren't fit for camping near a river if they couldn't swim, which he wrote in reference to the 27 young girls killed at a Christian summer camp in the flooded valley. He went on to quip that God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban. Now, NordVPN quickly clarified that they do not sponsor Destiny.
Oh, I bet Lauren and Pixie begged her to put to put her fundraiser in here. Jesus Christ.
Nor do they stand behind any of these reprehensible comments, and they may even pursue legal action, as they should, because there are documented damages on record or people canceling their Nord subscriptions. But his response, of course, it was that this was just another joke at the company's expense. As outrage grew over his remarks, he basically abandoned...
That's such a good tweet.
Of course, it was that this was just another joke at the company's expense.
Oh, shit.
As outrage grew over his remarks, he basically abandoned all pretense and jumped just right into the politicization of everything. In short, this is what he said. It's a very disgusting post to read, but he says, don't ever forget, these are the same people who tell you jokes are back when they're laughing it up over families being destroyed by deportation, LGBT being kicked out of the military, and friends being murdered in Ukraine by a genocidal maniac, all because they're too spineless to break with the inhumane machine that is MAGA. Just, I don't know how any of those things, which many of those are actually really valid points.
Because you don't know anything about politics. You're fucking retarded. We know. We got it.
Are not by him. Valid points on MAGA's behalf, right? Trans out of the military, all of these things. How is that possibly comparable to the death of young children? It's just, he's living in a different reality. But this is a pattern. When Corey Comprator, husband, father, firefighter, and a Trump supporter, was killed during the attempt on Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania, Destiny called him a fucking retard. And said,
keep in mind, my comments are way nicer than the Trump crowds, okay? I just think the guy's fucking retarded. These guys literally believe that God sent the bullet into this dude's fucking skull, all right?
That he was having fun in hell with Ashley Babbitt, the woman killed by Capitol Police on January 6th. Now, this did actually lead to some repercussions. His account was banned from Kick, but it gets worse. He once argued that if Trump won in 2024, drone strikes on MAGA protesters would be justified and necessary. There's evidently a playbook here, guys. Dehumanize.
Did I say that? That drone strikes? Wait, what is the context of that statement?
Under the guise of intellect, promote outrage, and then retreat behind irony. But when the followers you cultivate actually start believing the performance and echoing the cruelty, it stops being a joke, and this is when it becomes culture. So what we're witnessing isn't just personal decline, it is psychological. It's a political radicalization in real time, honestly. Studies from Harvard and UC Berkeley actually show how social media-driven political content actually rewires the brain. Constant exposure to tribal conflict activates fear centers and dulls empathy. But over time, people don't just disagree. They see ideological opponents as existential threats to their existence, as less than a human. Psychologists actually call this moral disengagement. That's what...
Wow. Certainly, she's not a massive Trump supporter thinking this, right?
let somebody essentially laugh at death, justify abuse, and then call it righteous clarity for their following. And Destiny, in my opinion, he's become one of the clearest examples that I've ever seen of that transformation. This is someone who I believe used to be relatively sane. This is someone who once stood for debate, logic, critical thought, and now he weaponizes trauma for clout and calls cruelty realism. It's not realism. It's not activism. It is ego. And the tragedy is that he's built a following on the myth that he's the rational one. He's above the fray. But truly, an irrational person justifies harm to women, mocks the dead, or laughs at grief to win arguments. So ultimately, guys, this isn't about disagreement. This is about dehumanization. That's what he's doing. Pixie's case isn't just about what happened to her. It's about what her silence and other silence allowed to happen for years.
What silence? This motherfucker literally is making public posts and tweeting about it. What are you talking about?
About the so-called allies who turned away, about the platform culture that ultimately rewarded it all. So if you think this is an isolated incident, it's not. This is what happens when platforms reward outrage, ignore ethics, and when creators become untouchable because they are profitable. When a fan base defends the indefensible because they mistake charisma for character. That's what's happening here. Now, I want to round out the segment by saying that what Pixie is doing takes courage, but this whole thing isn't just about her lawsuit. It's about whether we finally draw a line, whether we hold people accountable even when it's inconvenient, even when they wear the mask of intellect. And Destiny, they say this is just drama, it's performative, it's hyperbole.
Fuck, the mask of intellect. So not only have they stolen the aesthetic of like rationality, now they're fighting me on, now they have the aesthetic of talking about the aesthetic of rationality. What the fuck?
None of that matters. When the truth lands and the mask slips, there won't be any arguments left to win. There will only be accountability. And that's what is owed, not just to Pixie, but to anyone who's watched this industry excuse cruelty in the name of content. Because, guys, empathy isn't weakness. It's actually one of the only things keeping us from turning into the very thing that we claim to oppose. If you liked this clip and you want to watch more like it, you can go ahead and click.
Xena in chat says, none of these girls are even friends anymore and can't stand one another from what they've told me. LOL. I have no problems with Amy as we never had a falling out, but her recent distasteful words about Destiny news to me. However, the Zionist couldn't stand living with the fairy femcel. Is that supposed to be Lauren and Pixie? And moved with the Australian Amy. Yeah, that friend group goes back and forth a ton. I remember when Pixie and Lauren lived together for a little bit, but Lauren was getting into so many fights with her roommate. And then I had to help Pixie stand up to Lauren when it came to disagreeing on things because Lauren's dog, I guess, would like pee and poop all over the apartment and Pixie didn't know how to deal with it. And I was like, you guys should have like a board with like responsibilities or something, I guess. And then I think eventually they all moved out though. So I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what it all ended up with eventually, but Jesus. Is she still a conservative? I'm so curious. Somebody linked the, when she was like ardently defending Andrew Tate on everything.
Okay, when you say look into the victims, do you mean you've read the leaked indictment from the prosecutor? Or do you mean you've looked at what Andrew and Kristen Tate have published on Twitter about the victims?
I read the documents, yeah.
So you don't believe any of the WhatsApp chat messages? You don't believe any of the leaked texts? You don't believe any of the...
The problem is that a lot of that isn't like actually admissible to the current case and the victims.
Wait, why is it not admissible to the current case?
Because it's not anything from the things that they're alleging are from within a certain time period that these text messages and these...
I don't think that's 100% known. I think that's a lie that Andrew Tate is saying to try to say that they're just getting in trouble for doing TikTok stuff.
I will literally beat the fuck out of you right now, and nobody's gonna say shit. Like, I will literally pull up this fucking knife and stab you in your fucking chest.
You wanna wait for $20?
Oh, sorry. Xena and Darius have a mic right now, so you can hear them fighting with on the other mic.
Shit. You think Destiny's gonna step in and save you? Nobody. You think your friend Relly's
I don't know. I
gonna
care about this one more though.
Okay. Shit. Amy gonna do
Okay,
Amy
we have
gonna
a
cheer me on. You think
$20 wager that they're gonna be convicted of something.
They were already...
I wonder if she's still a massive Tate simp. She is. You know she is. Okay. All right.
Hi everyone and welcome.
How to play footsie step by step. Feet of an investor.
Act with this person. Push the other.
Is this for my for the debate I just did? Jesus. Fuck. I hate all these. I just don't know how much of I would feel like such a pussy being so like friendly and submissive and breedable in real life to somebody and then talking shit on Twitter right after. That just feels like the most pussy shit in the universe. I would be so humiliated if I did that to somebody. Like what, like, and it's not like, I'm not saying you used to like fucking fight me or something, but just like, at least don't be like, oh, shake hands and that. Like, it's so cringe. Sorry, hold on. I'm not talking about Amy right now. Although I guess it's kind of, applies to her. I just that one guy, the weird conservative dude that was like tweeting weird shit at me. It's just so crazy. Ugh, whatever.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in those black books? Why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
Damn. They kind of fucked themselves. They did. They did indeed.
What I think is interesting here is Trump has backed himself into a corner with a miserable response. Dan Bongino's done poorly. Kash Patel has done poorly. Pam Bondi has done poorly. And so it's hard for me to believe that all of these abject failures in the response in the Epstein story are an accident. Though they probably are. I'm just saying, like, isn't it hard to believe they screwed up this bad? What I think is interesting here is
Trump never stopped building a business. President Trump never stopped building a business empire, a media empire, a political empire. We believe he has exactly the team to maximize success. Let's start with Pam Bondi. The Attorney General always takes a lot of flack in any administration, but look at what she has accomplished. The Bondi team successfully litigated away the judicial coup of nationwide injunctions. They did that. They won that for us. They have created the legal infrastructure for highly effective deportations. She's got the cartels self-deporting. She has targeted the criminals and the gang networks. Attorney General Pam Bondi is a star and has our full admiration and support. To those who don't share my enthusiasm, look at how far we've come. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is the reason Hillary Clinton got away with everything. The statute of limitations has passed to hold her accountable. Thanks, Jeff. He got the unceremonious beating he deserved on the way out the door from Senator Tommy Tuberville.
By the way, the reason why they hate Sessions and the reason why Trump hated Sessions is because Trump wanted Sessions to dismiss to kill the whole investigation into him over the Mueller stuff, and Sessions recused himself. Sessions was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I can't do it." That's why they all fucking hate him, by the way.
After Sessions, we got Bill Barr. AG Barr is the reason legitimate questions about the 2020 election went uninvestigated by the...
Uninvestigated. Barr was the #1 Trump simp in the fucking world. That New Yorker ran that piece on Barr, calling him Trump's sword and shield. And even Barr couldn't handle the insanity of the administration and resigned weeks before the electoral vote counting. No, not the counting, the certification and then the inauguration.
The Department of Justice. I personally know of cases Bill Barr shut down that related to voter fraud that could have told us a lot more about...
He doesn't. He's lying.
...the networks and the people who are trying to destabilize our elections and our voting process. You don't think you're getting all the answers you want on Epstein? We never got the answers on an election that resulted in a dementia ward escapee being president for 4 years. After Bill Barr was Jeff Rosen. He was the acting attorney general. He allowed MAGA grandmothers to be hunted like Pam Bondi is hunting MS-13. Pam Bondi is the best attorney general Donald Trump has had by a factor of 10,000. And anyone who disagrees with me is welcome to come on this show and choose their fighter.
Whoa, what? Is there a tweet with, I would love to.
Which Trump AG would you replace Pam Bondi with? Barr? Sessions? Rosen? She's the best, and we appreciate her service. And at the FBI, some have suggested that they aren't keen on cash anymore. Look at where we've been at the FBI. It used to be a dumpster fire. During the prior Trump administration, we had James Comey. We had to deal with Christopher Wray, and now we get Kash Patel. Kash is rounding up actual criminals, not spying on political opponents. That is the reset the FBI needed. I have every confidence that this administration will continue their outstanding work, and that any tension that erupts is a consequence of strong voices and deep love of country.
I tweeted. White House faith luncheon.
And then he sends missiles into buildings someplace. I say, what was that all about? So anyway, so we're going to be doing that with NATO, and it's fully approved, fully done. We'll send them a lot of weapons of all kinds, and they're going to deliver those weapons immediately to the site of the war, different sites of the war, and they're going to pay for 100% of them. This all was made possible. One of the most, go to Kentucky twice to do rallies to get him elected twice.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you with great reverence and expectation. Your word declares in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Lord, we do perceive it. We see the stirring of your hands, reviving hearts, reforming systems, raising up leaders at this very hour. We thank you for our great president, President Trump, for his life, his courage, his clarity, and unwavering defense of faith and freedom. May your wisdom guide him and your protection always surround him, according to your word that does not return void. In Psalm 89:21, that you say, my hand will sustain him, and surely my arm will strengthen him. We bless every person in this room, those you've entrusted this wealth, strategy, and vision to, according to 1 Timothy 6.
I'm good.
I got indicted 5 times, impeached 2 times. All bullshit, right? All bull.
Well, more than indicted. You were convicted, but...
Well, at the same time, we had some others go in a different direction. I watched horrible CNN. You know, you have to watch sometimes your opposition, and they are opposition. And I saw that they had basically the plans of when we're going in, when we would be entering Iranian oil airspace. And I said, you know, that's weird. And I called the general.
Imagine this guy who you would hope would be reviewing like intelligence reports, conferring with his cabinet members, maybe conferring with his generals. And these guys are probably trying to get a hold of him like, hey, sir, we need to figure out what we're going to do. And he's like, shut the fuck up. Did you just see what Anderson Cooper said about me on CNN? Hold on, please. And he's like sitting here, why the fuck are you watching this ever?
General Raisin Kane, he's fantastic. I said, General, and Pete Hegseth, I said, I'm watching newscasts where they're saying what time you're taking off tomorrow and what time we're going to be entering the very dangerous airspace, the worst air space anywhere there is, anywhere that in the world. I said, what do you think? Sir, we'll be fine. We blow them away, we'll be fine. Because, you know, they went those B-2s with 7, and they were surrounded by a lot of great planes, F-22s, the most beautiful plane ever built, the fighter jet, F-35s, had a lot of different planes going with them. I said, but wouldn't a surprise be better? Yeah, it would be better. I said, well, then let me cancel it, and let's make it at a different time. So the day before, you know, I canceled it. And I said, I'm canceling it. We'll do it sometime within the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, but I'm canceling it. And then I had a meeting, and I said, I have an idea, because I got slightly big coverage, to put it mildly. So everyone knew it was being canceled. I said, let's leave at the exact same time we were supposed to leave the following day. And we took off, and that's when the planes went out to Guam and this and that, and we took off. And that was the only time.
I would support Mamdani for president if he would agree, and only if he would agree to host a 1-hour Islamic prayer session in the White House. I would show up with I would show up with every piece of equipment I have to protect that, just to see the unmitigated fucking outrage. I don't give a fuck if he said he was a fucking communist. If he said he was going to do it in an Islamic prayer hour in the West, I would support him. I would donate every cent to every super PAC with every fiber of my being. I would get the sickest turban and the fattest camel, and I would ride my ass to DC to worship, okay? God, that would be fucking amazing.
We took off, and that was the only time, and they said it, that was the only time they knew we wouldn't be coming in. It was the exact same time that I came. I said, let's do something. And they flew in, and they were stealth, incredible planes, they were stealth. And they
Invisible, sir?
The Democrat has far fewer. They're grandstanders, but you know, the one thing about them, they have bad policy. They're evil people in many ways, but they stick together.
People.
You don't have it where you don't have...
No one cares. 3,500 likes. Remember when Republicans lost their shit for a decade when Hillary Clinton said some of Trump's supporters were deplorable?
I don't want to use too many names, but you don't have a Mitt Romney in the midst who makes you suffer. You don't have some of the people that I mentioned who make it so hard. They make it so hard. And the alternative is one of two things. You can either get all these things and make the economy strong, or you're going to literally have perhaps a depression where you people so rich, so beautiful, so nice to look at will be totally busted. And the Democrat has far fewer. We're going to see some really good numbers where, you know, drill baby drill, drill baby drill. I got to make sure that people can afford to produce the gas, but the gas has gotten to be, we're going to see some really good.
On what? On what subject?
Epstein. The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein. On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, you know.
They were made up by Sarah, who got my coffee wrong at Starbucks yesterday. They were made up by my mother-in-law, she's a bitch. They were made up by Hillary Clinton and her daughters. They were made up by CNN. Like, is it just like insert whatever person you don't like? I'm bored. I'm getting bored again. I can't. How much longer can we do the news? How much longer is this guy president for? It's so boring. It's so stupid. All this is so stupid.
We went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all
dog. It's been like a decade.
Of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well. And it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
On Texas, how many more seats do you want the Republicans to?
What has Trump done so far? He seems to always push things back. Nothing. Nothing has happened. He's just fucked our shit up. That's it. We had a budget kind of passed, or a continuing resolution. I don't know if it counts as an actual budget or if it's a temporary budget, where they fucked our debt deficit up even more. Hell yeah. Jesus. Wait.
Be the biggest one, and
So
that'll be fine.
Are you calling in for a complete redrawing of the congressional map ahead of next year?
Just a very simple redrawing. We pick up 5 seats. But we have a couple of other states where we'll pick up seats also.
So you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say we're drawing fair districts. Like, it doesn't even have the propaganda line. Like, you're supposed to say we're drawing fair districts to better represent the people, and that's when you're trying to pick up more seats. But you're not supposed to say that you're trying to pick up more seats. That's not really, like, it's not really what you're supposed to just openly admit. I can't just dismantle a department. I thought this was America. No, apparently he is. allowed to dismantle the department. I don't know how the Department of Education, we didn't look into that too deeply, like where it came from or how it was enacted or if he has unilateral authority to do it. But oh, but these are again for TROs, so he can just dismantle the department while the judge or while the court decides, I guess. That's cool. So another decade out of figuring any of this shit out while everything is destroyed in the meantime. Based. Trump told Texas Republicans on a call this morning that the GOP will seek to gain 5 new red seats in the mid-decade redistricting effort in Texas. Gavin Newsom says 2 can play this game. Holy shit. I wonder if can California be redrawn to give them more blue seats? I have no idea. It's kind of funny though. Race to the bottom. I'm here for it. There are currently 9 Republicans in the California congressional delegation. Just thought folks might like to know that fun fact. The letter from the DOJ? Is the DOJ the department that looks at districting? Is that even ordinary? This letter will serve as formal notice by the Department of Justice to the state of Texas of serious concerns regarding the legality of 4 of Texas's congressional districts. Part of it is the DOJ and the census. Is the census handled by the Department of Justice? I have no idea. Maybe it is. U.S. Census Bureau. Oh, wait, I have a thing. This is part of the Commerce Department. The U.S. Census Bureau is a permanent office. Are we sure? Is this tied to the DOJ at all? As stated below, congressional districts Texas 09, Texas 18, Texas 29, and Texas 30 are currently constitute unconstitutional coalition districts, and we urge the state of Texas to rectify these race-based considerations from these specific districts. Are these all Democrat districts? (29 and 33). Oh, Al Green. Oh, our friend. Sylvester Turner is District 18, who is a Democrat. Sylvia Garcia, Democrat. And Mark Vesey, Democrat. In Allen v. Milligan, Justice Kavanaugh noted that even if Congress in 1982 could constitutionally authorize race-based redistricting under Section 2 for some period of time, the authority to conduct race-based redistricting cannot extend indefinitely into the future. In SFFA v. Harvard, the Supreme Court reiterated that a deviation from the norm of equal treatment on account of race must be a temporary matter. When race is the predominant factor above other traditional redistricting considerations, including compactness, contiguity, and respect for political subdivision lines, the state of Texas must demonstrate a compelling state interest to survive strict scrutiny. Is there, does anybody have a link to what is the accusation that they were drawing these districts based on race? Is there even, is there like a link to that? It is well established that so-called coalition districts run afoul of the Voting Rights Act and the 14th Amendment. In Pettyway v. Galveston County, the N. Bank En banc, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals made it abundantly clear that coalition districts are not protected by the Voting Rights Act. Determined that a minority group must be geographically compact enough to constitute more than 50% of the voting population in a single measure to be protected under... The record indicates that Texas 09 and 18 sort Houston voters along strict racial lines to create 2 coalition seats, while creating TX 29 a majority Hispanic district. Additionally, Texas 33 is another racially based coalition district that resulted from a federal court order years ago. Yet the Texas legislature drew Texas 33 on the same lines as in the 2021 redistricting, therefore Texas 33 remains as a coalition district. Jesus. Well, I guess we'll see how that goes. Fighting for redistricting. Feels good, man.
White House Press Secretary here now with the Hannity Washington briefing. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is...
Amy Empathy Dangerfield. Why are you going through her YouTube videos?
On gay marriage as well, an issue that the left felt was settled a really long time ago. Now, support for the LGBT agenda isn't just stalling, guys, it's tanking. According to this Gallup poll, Republican support for gay marriage has dropped to just 41%, the lowest point in over a decade. That's down from 55% just 2 years ago. And even independents are growing skeptical at this point. And when was the last time approval was this low? Around 2013, before the Supreme Court ruled on Obergefell versus Hodges. So we're now watching a cultural regression play out in real time, but honestly, it's not even a regression, it's a correction. And if we're being honest, a lot of people saw it coming. Because when gay marriage was legalized, critics warned it would lead to gender confusion, the normalization of child grooming, and the breakdown of traditional values. And at the time, I thought that was insane. I remember even lashing out on Facebook once, calling someone hateful for saying that exact thing. I thought this whole, slippery slip thing was just fear-mongering. Like, really, gay marriage happens and suddenly society collapses? Relax. But fast forward a decade, and here we are. Years later, I reached out to that same person, and I actually apologized because everything they warned about is playing out right in front of our eyes. We've got pride flags covered in groomer symbols.
Wait, did she just say that gay marriage has actually led to the collapsing of...
Literally hanging in classrooms, drag queens twerking for toddlers in public libraries, and now a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist caught in a leaked sex tape with another man in a BDSM scenario that can only be described as humiliating. And yeah, I'm talking about Glenn Greenwald. Scandals aside, Greenwald has a reputation for being a legit journalist. He's the guy who helped break the Edward Snowden NSA story, and he's really made a name for himself criticizing government.
What an absolutely disgusting... So Glenn Greenwald, somebody leaked, I guess, like sexual material of Glenn Greenwald, and I guess since he's gay, like everybody's like on board with that. Why would she promote? Why would she frame it like this?
Reputation for being a legit journalist. He's the guy who helped break the Edward Snowden NSA story, and he's really made a name for himself criticizing government overreach and defending free speech. He became a hero of the anti-establishment left, and shockingly, despite being an openly gay left-leaning media figure, many on the right liked him too. But last week, a video leaked showing him in a rather compromising position with a male prostitute from Brazil, which we certainly won't be playing for you here for obvious reasons, but you can see what appears to be a crack pipe visible in the room, as well as just some really gross kind of like humiliation, kink fetishes that were playing out on screen. Now, immediately, some voices on the right responded with more outrage over the actual leak than the behavior itself. You literally think someone had doxed a whistleblower, not exposed a man willingly entangled in his own moral mess. And to make matters worse, there is real speculation that he actually leaked this tape himself because...
By the way, the thing that that Jasmine and Lauren were texting Amy that I had like told everybody that I hadn't. Lauren was what I told everybody was the fact that Amy fucked Sneeko like the second time they met. Just so you know, in case you're curious what kind of person this is. I guess if all of this stuff is just fair game, that was like the drama leak shit or whatever a long time ago that they had accused me of spreading, and I hadn't, but now I have. So there you go. The whole internet knows. So what a disgusting fucking piece of shit. Like, okay, have fun.
Is with us. Let's start. You know, we're a week away from what is officially 6 months of the administration. What I mentioned was pretty much a tip of the iceberg in terms of the administration's success.
Did Zena already leak it? Oh, well, if Zena leaked the whole story, then it wasn't just her fucking Sneeko. It was a threesome with Sneeko, so good one.
I don't think enough people get that 30,000-foot view and look at the big picture, because I really can't think of a presidency in the modern era that has accomplished that much so quickly. Is the administration going to celebrate it in some way?
He couldn't even hold frame through that question.
Going to celebrate it in some way?
He couldn't even hold frame for how fucking like insane these people are.
Well, with President Trump, we work hard every day, and we are going to continue to work hard to deliver on all of the campaign promises.
Are their lips getting larger and more glossy every time they go onto any of these media networks? Is there like some like media bimbofication fetish in the Trump White House? Jesus Christ.
That he made to the American public, but it surely has been an extraordinary 6-month start to the 4 years that President Trump has been blessed with back in the
They're showing this video like it's a good thing for Trump.
Oval Office. And let's go back to 1 year ago yesterday, where God saved the life of President Trump so he could save this country and return to this city where so much change is needed. And look at what he has done with the border. You just laid it out, Sean, the most secure border in our nation's history. A president who has the backs of our law enforcement.
It's not the Fox News blonde aesthetic. There was a Fox News blonde aesthetic, but like the porn star look is a Trump thing. The Fox News women did not look like this. This is insane.
Officers every day, those law enforcement officers who are watching your show right now, who put their uniform on to protect our fellow Americans, to make our community safer. This president supports you and he loves you. Look at our economy. It is booming again, thanks to the pro-growth, less regulatory policies of this administration. And we just signed, President Trump just signed the most significant piece of tax legislation in American history, the largest tax cut for working and middle-class families. That means more money directly into the...
I like how when they argue about the impacts on the budget, like the CBO rating, they're like, excuse me, why are you suddenly adding this to the debt or deficit? That's not fair. We're not doing a new tax cut. This is just, we're just solidifying the old ones. Like Matt Gates, no, it wasn't Matt Gates. It was the deputy guy, Stephen Miller. My brain. Yeah. Stephen Miller and other people were on Twitter defending the idea that like, these aren't new tax cuts, okay? We're just extending the old ones. So you can't add these onto the debt or deficit. That's bullshit. You're not allowed to do that to make this bill look worse than it is. But then when they talk about the bill, they talk about it like they're new tax cuts. It's very funny, the dual positions these people occupy.
Tax cut for working and middle-class families. That means more money directly into the pockets of every single American watching your show tonight. You look at what he's done to root out DEI and waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government, to keep men out of women's sports. Victory upon victory. We had another one with the Supreme Court today, handing another big victory to not just the Trump administration, but more importantly, parents and students and families across the country. The Supreme Court saying that, yes, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon can move forward with the president's promise to dismantle the Department of Education, return education back to parents, back to states, so we can have the best, brightest, most highly educated students in the world. Win after win every day. We will continue to work hard. And I just want to say to your audience, there is not a more hardworking president than Donald J. Trump. I witness it with my...
Just real quick, I'm just curious. Can somebody link the video of the speech that Trump gave in Texas after the 100 plus kids died in the flood? Can somebody link that video when he went down there and he addressed the state after like one of the worst natural disasters they've had in history? Somebody link that in chat, please. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick while you guys find that video. 1 sec. All right, who's got that video for me? Certainly.
I know you love tech.
Oh, fuck. I didn't actually know he went. That was supposed to be a joke. Never mind. He was there 4 days ago. Fuck this guy. Delete that part of the VOD.
I own two eyes every day. That man is working around the clock. He hardly ever sleeps. He's constantly thinking about not just the problems in our country here, but around this world and how to solve them. And look at what he's done on the world stage with bringing peace to the Middle East, with jarring Russia and Ukraine to actually talk directly for the first time in this war in years. We see what's happening with the hostages coming out of Gaza, and he's going to keep pushing until every last hostage is out. This is a president who is a peacemaker in chief, and it cannot be overstated how successful the first 6 months of this administration have been, thanks to the leadership of President Trump.
Caroline, let me read a headline from the Washington Examiner. Trump's tariffs deregulation give June its first budget surplus in 20 years. Wow. That's not gotten a lot of attention.
Wait, what?
Leadership of President Trump.
Caroline, let me read a headline from the Washington Examiner. Trump's tariffs deregulation give June its first budget surplus in 20 years. Wow. That's not gotten a lot of attention.
What?
No.
First of all, the Washington Examiner is a dog shit. Wait, in June? Hold on. I wonder if I can predict this whole article. Wait. Are they trying to divide government expenditures by 12? And then they're trying to add all of the money that has theoretically been raised by tariffs so far into this 1 month to try to claim that we now have a budget surplus? Maybe? That's my guess, just in hearing how you read that. Trump tariffs and deregulation give June its first budget surplus in 20 years. For the first time since 2005, the federal budget posted a surplus this June, and Uncle Sam has President Donald Trump's tariffs at least partially to thank. The budget surplus of $26 billion is essentially a rounding error relative to our current annual deficit of $1.3 trillion for the first 9 months of fiscal 2025. But the Congressional Budget Office data still evidence that, on the margins, Trump's cost-cutting measures at the Department of Government Efficiency, his tariffs and real wage growth unleashed by his deregulatory agenda is indeed trimming the trajectory of our debt growth ever so slightly. How does real wage growth, unless you're talking about taxes received or whatever, but all in all, the deficit thus far in fiscal year 2025 is 1% smaller than the first 9 months of fiscal year 2024. Holy shit. 1.2% increase in real wages since Trump took office is translated to a 7% increase in total individual income and payroll taxes. Okay. I'm never subscribing to this. I've never in my life, maybe some people do this, but I've never in my life heard somebody refer to the government budget in like months, like the 1 month. That's just a hilarious way to phrase things. If you separate monthly, it's rare for the government to have surpluses for that specific month. You mean not rare? Usually governments run a surplus around the winter holidays and tax time, but a deficit that deletes total after that. Yeah. Wait, Aurelia. Where are you getting that quote from? The change in the deficit was influenced by the timing of outlays. Fiscal year 2024 outlays were reduced because payments that were due on October 1st, 2023 Sunday were shifted into the prior fiscal year. Those payments were made on September 2023. If not for that shift, the deficit so far this fiscal year would have been $7 billion less than the shortfall at this point last year. If not for that shift, the deficit so far this fiscal year would have been $7 billion less than the shortfall. So if the shortfall was $10 billion, that phrasing is really weird to me. So you owe $10 billion, but it would have been $7 billion less than the $10 billion? The total deficit would have been, I can't even evaluate that statement. That's a mind-blowing statement. Not like it's unbelievable, I just can't understand it. cumulative monthly deficits, fiscal years 2023 to 2025. Oh, you're right. I see how this works. So you usually, I guess there's a lot of government spending in your October, November, December, January, and then it drops to a low in March, and then it drops to another low in June, and then I'm guessing it goes up from here or something. Nice. The fuck is this?
Oh, it hasn't. And all of the naysayers, all of the so-called economic experts who doubted this president and his economic formula are now eating their words. In fact, there was a story on the cover of the Wall Street Journal today saying that those fears of recession that everyone was ranting and raving about have now cooled because the economy and everyone from Wall Street to Main Street understands this is a president who is a businessman and he knows what he's doing. Pro-growth, higher wages, less inflation, less taxes, and more money back in people's pockets. And look at the investments that have poured into our country. We have companies all over the world who are coming to...
One thing that they've done well, I guess, if I want to give them like credit for doing it well, is they invent these new things that no one's ever heard of before, and then they just start like giving a really big number for it, right? Like when they talk about this number, Trump has secured 15 trillion of investments in the United States. What the fuck does that mean? Is this just like FDI, or is this like people buying stocks, or like what? Like, I've never heard this number, and maybe somebody has given it before, and I've never heard it, but I've never heard this number before. Now, every now and then I'll hear somebody talk about like an exceptional, like somebody's moving a factory here or something like that. But this like obsession with like, we've got 5 trillion in investments, 10 trillion in investments, 15 trillion, like what does that even mean? What are we even talking about? I've never heard a number given like this before.
To build factories and create jobs with American hands and American labor right here in the United States of America. This is the best country on the planet to do business in. And that's something President Trump promised the American worker. I was with him on the campaign. I know you covered it, Sean. When he traversed this country and promised the American worker he was going to stand up for them. And his economic agenda has surely done that. And all of the so-called experts, they have been proven wrong. The president knows what he's doing. He wants to bring growth back to this country.
Mute your microphone, dog. He's shuffling his papers around. Jeez.
Wants to end the Biden inflation crisis, and he already has in just six months. There's more work to do. He will continue to do it. But he has a proven economic formula that works. Just look at the success of his first term as president.
Good job.
Let me ask you about the 700% increase of attacks on ICE agents. Add to that the doxing of ICE agents and their families. Now, the president did pull the plug on free tuition for illegals, and the president did authorize ICE agents to protect themselves when...
Who's controlling the camera here? Hello?
And the president did authorize ICE agents to protect themselves when rocks are being thrown at them by protesters, and protect themselves by whatever means is necessary. And then you have the L.A. Mayor Karen Bass announcing a new cash giveaway plan for Biden illegals. How is it possible that you're going to give away free money to illegals, and in New York State, they're talking about hiring attorneys for illegals, and then you have sanctuary state and city policies. How is any of this not against the law? How is it not aiding and abetting lawbreaking?
Oh, it is. And we're going
after Democrats have completely lost their minds, and they have forgotten the number one reason they lost the election in an overwhelming fashion on November 5th. And it's because they were putting American citizens behind illegal aliens who were invading our country for 4 years. You think about the images outside of the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, which was once a historic landmark
myth
hotel.
That his first term was a success? I don't know, but I push everybody on it all the time, always, and everybody should. When people are like, oh, he's a great deal maker. What deals? Name them. His first term was so good. Why? What did he do? Nothing. Nothing.
Presidents used to go to hang out and host meetings. It has now been run into the ground. It is now a desolate place where millions of illegal aliens invaded cities like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. They stole the benefits that should be going to hardworking, tax-paying Americans, and they committed crimes all across this country, and many American lives have been lost. So now the president has empowered federal law enforcement to actually do the jobs they signed up to do, to remove these public safety threats from our communities. And it is shameful that you have elected leaders who are elected to protect their American citizen constituents who are aiding and abetting this violence against federal law enforcement. You look at Los Angeles and the raid that ICE ICE just conducted on a marijuana facility. 300 illegal criminals were pulled out of that facility, some of them unaccompanied minors. By the way, the Biden administration lost thousands of children that this administration is focused on finding with law enforcement operations like these. And there was also child predators and convicted murderers who were picked up in that operation as well. God bless the men and women of ICE. They are heroes, and they are great men and women who put on that uniform every day and deserve to go home safely to their families at night. And the Democrats who are allowing this violence to take place against them should be ashamed of themselves. And I know that the American people will firmly reject that position in the next election, just like they did in the previous election on November 5th when they reelected President Trump and the Trump administration to seal our border and deport illegal criminals from our homeland.
We saw the reaction the president got at MetLife Stadium. Not exactly a red state, to say the least, this weekend. Caroline Levitt, thank you. The Hannity White House briefing.
I literally just saw this in the Tom Bilyeu interview. Oh, wait, did that just get posted? Oh, Jesus. Is that me? I look so fucking... Oh my God. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Come with me here. No, fuck, it's not even. If a little tiny bit? I feel like I look more, a little bit more. If he was like 20 shades whiter. A little bit. If I polled you guys, you'd vote 50-50.
American.
But I think I asked him this question. I'm like, what is the deal making? What deal making? What are we talking about? Why does he have this? Oh, I think this is where I...
Like, I'll fight you to death on this, okay? And I won't believe you if you disagree with me. If you and I were to negotiate something as a business deal, and you're selling some service for $1 million, if I were to come at you and go, I'll give you $100 for that, you're not going to look at me as, ooh, he's put me in a challenging negotiating spot. You're going to fucking ignore me. You're not even going to respond to that email. You're not even going to do negotiations with me because I'm so far out of what would even be reasonable. It's not even covering your costs. So this idea that you can go into any negotiation with the equivalent of an explosive vest on and be like, we're all going to die until you come to an agreement with me, and this is like the master negotiator. If that was true, then my question is, what do we have to show for it? If you wanted to say one thing, and I would even argue the U.S.-Mexican Free Trade Agreement, it was like NAFTA Junior. It was a little bit upgrade, but not really significantly different. And that's been completely and utterly destroyed now, so you can't even take credit for that. We're almost at our 90 days. Where are the 90 deals? We have 0 deals. We've gotten 0 deals in all of this time. Nobody's ready to negotiate with us. Trump has gone back and forth on these tariffs the entire time. I don't know if you saw, but even the way that we calculated the tariffs was hilariously stupid. It was just the difference in trade deficits divided by like total exports, and we're like, they must have a 52% tariff on us. Like all of the trade deficit can be attributed to a tariff. It's insane. You listen to this Lutnick guy talk, and you think you're actually like high on acid. You stumbled into like a 4th grade classroom, and you're listening to kids talk about how they think the economy works. It's just unreal. True. So I hate that like he's a master negotiator. Because then my question is, okay, well, what is he negotiating? Because we have nothing. We were promised the war in Israel would be over. It's not. We thought that Hamas is going to release all the hostages. They haven't. We were promised at day 0 Ukraine Russia would be done. It's not. We were promised no new wars. We bombed Iran. Like nothing has come to fruition that this guy said. But he keeps eluding all of this as like the master negotiator. I don't know how. The only thing he's negotiated is PR, I guess. I just don't. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
It's interesting. So the way that I take the tariffs is the tariff D-Day for me is where are we at midterms? And 90 days, day 1, all of that stuff, whatever, that doesn't matter if he can actually get a deal done. If he doesn't get it done by midterms, he's lost. It's over. It's finished. Like he'll be a lame duck. He'll never be remembered. He will go out, just be absolutely thrashed. But if he can actually get in a position where we bring key manufacturing back to the U.S., which I think is critical. If he can set us up to actually weather a Cold War with China, which I think I take very seriously. That's probably the thing. I think about the economy and I think about us and China. Like,
but that doesn't make sense. Like you say, win a Cold War with China. Did we win the Cold War with the Soviet Union by buckling down and getting every single thing set up in the U.S. and abandoning every? We didn't. We were literally cooing governments in South America. We were literally cooing governments in the Middle East to try to get people on our side. It was so important.
Yeah, but this is where I think you have to be careful. When you look at the past, you want to understand why it worked at that time. You don't just want to say, let's do the same thing. We are, like, AI is a potential winner take all. So this is not the one that you can play around with. Game theoretics tells you that even if we try to chill, regulate, they won't. Because if you can win in any substantive way, like if you have a 3-month head start or whatever, if you hit AGI 3 months ahead of the other side, it's game over. So you need to be in a race, and that race there is going to be born of energy. It's going to be born of working with industry. You're going to have to deregulate some things.
But then this is why I want all the other countries to be friends with us. If you want to come and study the United States, it should be easy. It should be like that. The idea that we're deporting people because, and I'm not a big Israel guy, but I tend to say Israel more. But the fact that we're deporting people based on being in pro-Palestine protests, like why are we doing this? Or that we're attacking Columbia, Harvard, like these are our shining stars. Or that we're defunding all the scientific research. Like it's not just going to be private capital that funds, the expansion in AI. There's a whole bunch of other research, a whole bunch of other like bright minds that we need to bring here. And
you're talking at the university level?
Yeah, there's a lot of starting points there that can branch off into other stuff that's important. Even just having those people in the country.
So part of the disconnect here might be that when I looked at the Biden government, I did not trust them to get anything done. Like from a PR perspective, they were, if you take me as a constituency, I was mortified. They either didn't notice that he was senile or didn't care that he was senile. The people behind the scenes of Jake Tapper can be believed, refer to themselves as the Politburo. When I hear things like that and I see them skip a primary and I already get massive authoritarian vibes with all the censorship and all of that, and then the voice that has gotten the most attention, I have no idea how you feel, but the voice that has gotten the most attention on their side in the last couple of months is Mamdani, who's literally just socialist. And that leaves me going, okay, well, that feels like the direction of that party. I'm not expecting them to be the people to get us through a Cold War with China. So
I mean, I guess like that is a perspective that you could have, but then it comes down to the factual analysis. Like I could, if we were to have an argument over who is more senile, I could give you so much more evidence for Trump now than Biden.
Really, you
Easily.
really think that?
The easiest
This is the one where now I'm going to say I don't believe you.
That's fine, but the only thing that you can give me from Biden is he sucks at speaking and he got a lot slower in debates. Like for Donald Trump, like I can show you, like we can watch him sign executive orders. He talked about the auto pen switch. He doesn't even know what he's signing. And on TV, there's a guy handing him a thing, and he's like, "And what is this?" And the guy's like, "This is the order that you wanted, Mr. President, in order to correct on this." And I can show you video after video.
But hold on, really fast, because you've always been a person who really says what they think, even when it costs you. So if this is the take, it is interesting how we can look at the same thing and see something so different. So you really believe side by side Trump is way deeper in decline than Biden. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but first, let's talk about one thing that is silently destroying so many people's confidence: hair loss. It doesn't announce itself; it creeps in slowly.
No,
the people his job.
Not hair loss. I think that Trump's baseline for how he presented when you say decline, it's a comparative analysis, which is harder.
Yeah.
I think that Trump's baseline for how he presented himself intelligently, I firmly believe that in term one, he thought that stealth planes were invisible, like Wonder Woman's jet. So for that guy, has he declined more? I don't know. If you're going from 100 IQ to 85 IQ, theoretically, that's a less significant decline than 160 to 120. But at the end of the day, you still want the 120 guy, right? Trump presents himself, there are worse words that I could say, but we can go through meeting after meeting after meeting. We can go through event after event after event that Biden would have never, like he makes dumb gaffes sometimes when he speaks. But like Donald Trump speaking to the South African president, he sat there with him for 10 minutes and watched a Twitter video compilation on genocide in South Africa. He was asked a question about, and Trump doesn't know this because he doesn't know anything, which is an easy way for him to hide his senility, about the ICJ's case in South Africa's involvement. Trump doesn't know that when you talk about the genocide case for Israel and Gaza, that was brought to the International Court of Justice by South Africa. Trump didn't know that. And even when they said ICJ, and Trump was like, ICJ, the South African president, because everybody's probably been coached, you have to make Trump feel like he's not a fucking retard when you're next to him. He quickly interjects, the International Criminal Justice. And then Trump's like, oh yeah. And if you listen to Trump answer that question, anybody's free to go back. He has no idea. He's freeballing. He's like, it's a tough ruling and we hope that, but he had no clue that this is about Israel and Gaza. If Biden would have made that same gaffe, we'd be talking about it for 2 weeks. But instead, Trump can do gaffe after gaffe after gaffe, and it's funny and it's affable. Is that the word? Like, it's just like funny and meaning and joking. That's it. But like he was arguing with Zelensky that the Crimea was invaded. I think he said 2015 instead of 2014. He didn't know the dates on that. We've got Steve Witkoff, our envoys in front of Tucker Carlson, doesn't even know the names of the regions in Ukraine that were contested, and now he's our lead envoy. Like, it's a joke. Like, I can ask you, like, this is a challenge of issue to conservatives. I can continue to issue it. Can you give me a single clip or say a single speech where Trump seems like he's speaking about something that he like knows anything about? Like, he's like actually coherent about it? You can't. There's not a single thing. So then when the question is like, can you show more decline between him and Biden? It's hard because Biden knows a lot about government and how things work and foreign policy and everything else, and like he definitely got slower speaking. But if I look at the output of that government in terms of legislation, in terms of relationship with other countries around the world, and I compare it to Trump, Trump loses that 10 out of 10 times. We can go through any metric, any arena. But like all we have is like Biden had a really bad debate performance. But like, what did Trump say in that debate? He just repeated the same stupid slogans verbatim and said nothing of substance as well.
It's interesting. I didn't think that Trump did well in that debate, but and listen, frame of reference is everything, and I get that two people can look at the same thing and see something very different. Sure. But man, once I started paying attention to Biden, I was legitimately like, this is crazy. For my money, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen in politics. I was like,
do you think that Trump truthing out that he's mad that Putin isn't listening to him and he feels like he pulled a fast one from him, that doesn't make you cringe? That's not like, what is this guy saying? Like, obviously Putin is not being forward with you. That's not like a what the fuck moment.
It does make me cringe, but it's not.
Or when he's truthing out Israel, you need to turn those planes back right now. Don't bomb Iran again. Like, that's not like
there's an element of Trump doing everything out in the open that I think is awesome. I love being able to see it. Now the fact that,
but it's stupid. I'm not talking about it being out in the open.
Now, is this for you like you want people to be presidential? Or?
No. This is stupid. To say that I can't believe Putin lied to me, the whole world is looking at you like you're an idiot. Or to say like Israel, you need to turn those planes back right now. Like, what the? This isn't like out in the open. He's an idiot. He's not.
Hey, fair enough, man.
Sure.
Look, you're super bright.
Is there a single issue that you've heard of? Like, oh, it's making a lot of sense there.
Yes, many times. So like, it's. I mean, I would have to go.
When he talks about cyber, or when he talks about AI or crypto, or like he knows nothing about any of these things, right?
When
like,
he talks about how to get things done, when he talks about the understanding, like, okay, we've got China's going to be a problem. We've got to bring back some of our manufacturing. Like, there are a lot of these issues that. I feel like when you watch him, he's not an eloquent speaker, but he gets the gist. He's down in the weeds. Like, he understands like what things are in play. And I guess because I'll forget like the name every now and then, I'll be like, wait, what the fuck is that word? So it's like, I don't look at that stuff and go, okay, hold on a second. This is somebody.
But even if you're looking at China, Biden got us the CHIPS Act, which actually like serves a massive investment into.
Full disclosure, I don't think Biden got us anything. That's my mental map. My mental map is this is all Politburo.
That's fine. Whoever was running the government behind Biden then.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is my whole beef is that guy wasn't really that guy.
Okay.
Now that, I think from historical conversations, that's never bothered you, but that bothers me a lot. Now No,
So who do you think for Trump? When Trump is presented executive orders to sign that he's clearly never seen before, what does that make you feel?
So I have a guess. Obviously, I know nothing that isn't publicly available. My instinct is that he's sitting down with whoever his top advisors are and he's saying, okay, I want to put something together like this. I want it to be like this. Cool, get it. And then they'll bring it. He's done so many of these damn things that it's like the person's reminding him, here are all the key things that you had agreed to. And he knows if this guy's bringing it to me, this is obviously what I agreed to previously. Cool, sign it. Because as a CEO, I do that kind of stuff all the time, especially when I have 3,000 employees. Dude, you've got like, okay, there's a small handful of people that I trust. We had a meeting about this a week ago. I don't remember the specifics, but it's like, these were the things that we agreed on.
I love that Tom is like a successful businessman, so I can just appeal to his business stuff so often. I think I do it at the end of this where he says this.
I would ask him, are these the things that I specifically say? Yes, it is. Cool.
But you would never have that conversation in front of your opposition that you're signing the contract with. You would never go to a meeting with another guy and you're like, what was this again? Like,
and you don't like that? Because I don't know if I like it just because it's good content or if I actually...
Because you wouldn't. Like, come on. You're telling me you'd be in a negotiation with a opposition, and then you're going over the contract and you're like, wait, hold on. Hey, what the fuck was this shit about? Or obviously wouldn't go into any type of deal like that. Or you wouldn't have any call like that. Or you wouldn't...
You think it's good? Admittedly, this might be terrible for the country, but I love that I'm able to see how this all works. Now, keep in mind, I am wildly disillusioned by politicians as a class.
Okay.
I think they are universal liars. I think the odds of Trump being on the Epstein list borders on 100%.
Okay.
People are always confused because they think that I'm...
It's just like, it's like an impenetrable force field of... It's like Trump is just impossible. He's unassailable. There's always like an excuse or a reason or...
Further, he could, and Trump wouldn't be able to stop him because Trump can be played by any world leader. Do you agree that every world leader looks at Trump like a buffoon waiting to be played egotistically, right?
I think everybody has a strategy for dealing with Trump, for sure.
And the strategy is just flattering.
Away? Probably not.
Like is it Rutte guy, the guy who used to be I don't know if he was a prime minister in the Netherlands, who's like does the NATO stuff now. Like when you look at him talk to Trump, it looks like you're talking to you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Joffrey, right? He's like, oh, President Trump, you're such a great guy and you were so smart when you did this, and it's like endless flattery because it's okay, but like it's effective, it works.
Like, listen,
you saw Zelensky tweet out 2 days ago, like, we're so grateful that the United States
Machiavelli tells you that of course this is how it's going to be.
Well, but it's sad because it's showing you that this works on our president.
But it works on everybody.
Absolutely not.
What?
Do you think there's any amount of flattery that Putin could have done to get like Hillary?
It's not always going to be flattery. It's always going to be a thing.
Oh, sure, but I want the thing to be, there's good things and there's bad things. Like if my interest is, if I'm negotiating on behalf of my wife for a country, like the way that I get this guy is I'm going to do a lot of good things for his wife's business or whatever. Okay, that's fine, that's good. But if my thing is like, I like to see children suffer, and you're like, I'm going to get a lot of videos of children dying. Yeah, there's a way to play the game, but I don't want you to have to play the game like that's not good.
The bad news. I really believe that's how the game is played.
Sure, but it depends on who you're trying to...
Who's the leader that we should admire?
I think that history will look fondly on Biden's presidency as a shining star in the middle and sandwiched between two unbelievably crazy.
Can you give me somebody else?
I think that the advancement of the ACA under Obama and the Iranian nuclear deal. Yeah.
Give me a leader, like a person, male, female, like Obama.
I mean, the things I like and don't like about him.
Okay,
but
that seems fair.
It's hard to say. I don't know if I'm a big here's a shining star person. Like,
okay, this is my whole.
I don't know.
Appreciate your time. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
So bad faith? I don't think it's bad faith, but the fact that he dodges what you're talking about to the meta convo about having strategy to talking to world leaders, it's just because of the lack of, you have to have like the individual facts. You have to have some facts, I think. Otherwise, the argument is, because they'll have like a higher level position, like a more conceptualized position, but then if I try to challenge it, it's unassailable because how do you attack somebody's feeling about a thing if you can't talk about the reasons why they feel that way, I guess, right? Let's say that you think that somebody's dad didn't beat the shit out of somebody and they thought their dad did beat the shit out of them. Like not like, what counts, but like just two totally different realities. And one person's like, I hate my dad. And then you try to argue with the person, why do you hate your dad? And they're like, I fucking hate him. And it's like, okay, well, I don't think he ever hit you. And they're like, well, I hate him and I don't want to get into that. And it's like, okay, well, if you never actually resolve, if you don't have your underlying facts like resolved, you don't figure out like the truth of any of these things, how can you ever like attack a person's feeling or higher level abstraction or conceptualization of a thing if you can't like dig into the individual facts? Yeah.
You to work hard, and I just want to say to your audience.
Oh, this is a clip from that.
Betsy, I don't think in modern history we've seen a president pull off a feat in policy quite the way President Trump has handled this issue. He promised to do it. What they've been able to do with deportations, with beefing up ICE, with protecting them now from a 700% increase in assaults is pretty remarkable. It's why President Trump, outside of Puerto Rico, won the most Hispanic populated congressional district in the whole country, near the Rio Grande.
Senate Republicans scrambled to lock down support for Trump's spending clawbacks. GOP leaders might be able to start debate on the $9.4 billion request. It's not clear what would happen next. Senate Republicans are scrambling to iron out changes to President Donald Trump's $9.4 billion request for spending clawbacks ahead of a key vote on Tuesday. Majority Leader John Thune needs 51 votes to start debate on the rescissions package. And as of Monday evening, it was not clear he had them. He's also staring down a looming deadline. Congress has until Friday night to clear the request Trump sent last month, or the president will be forced to spend the money as Congress intended. What is this? The government trying to take back to the budget, like, and not spend some money or something? Or these are the Doge cuts? Oh, our $9.4 billion Doge cuts. Nice. From what, 2 trillion? Bezed. Bezed. Absolutely Bezed.
This guy and President Trump. Look, I have concerns similar to what Paul expressed about, is this war never ending with Russia and Ukraine? Will it ever end? Russia has a larger military. They have more people to sacrifice at the altar of this war. However, I think President Trump deserves our deference. He's always right. When has he been wrong about foreign policy? His naysayers are everyone said there was going to be a World War III. After, sending those bombs to Iran and taking out some of their nuclear facilities, or at least badly damaging them, that didn't come to fruition. Right. So he's repeatedly been, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Everyone was worried about that. Right. So everyone has been.
Yeah. And then October 7th happened. What do you mean?
Been wrong. He's always been right. So he did moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
And they were worried that bad stuff would happen with Iran if we left the nuclear deal. Yeah. All the bad stuff happened. How can they rewrite history on everything? Jesus. Destiny, why not drill down? Does the getting in the weeds phrase serve as an all-powerful escape from the convo? Yes, I actually have a name for that. I call that thing the lazy gardener. When somebody's like, I don't want to get into the weeds. Like, well, why not? Shouldn't we get into the weeds? Not saying that Tom necessarily does this, but
Jerusalem, everyone was worried.
U.S. President Trump asked Zelensky why he didn't strike Moscow. Zelensky said, if you give us the weapons, we can strike. Trump also considered sending Tomahawk cruise missiles, the same weapons fired against Iranian targets last month. If fired from Ukraine, these could hit Moscow and St. Petersburg, but they were included in discussions as late as Friday. But the Tomahawks are off the delivery list for now, I'm told. They could be deployed later if Trump wants even more leverage. Trump's determination to squeeze Putin was conveyed in a conversation last week with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. A source told me Trump asked Zelensky why he didn't hit Moscow. We can't even give us the weapons, Zelensky said. Trump said Ukraine needed to put more pressure on Putin. Not just Moscow, but St. Petersburg, too. Jesus Christ. Destiny, why is the moving of the embassy a big deal? Because technically, a lot of people still consider Jerusalem kind of like a contested part of Israel. And Israel has annexed more and more, like they have both halves of Jerusalem now. There used to be like East Jerusalem, the old city, and then just Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, or Jerusalem proper. They don't call it West Jerusalem, but Israel moving the embassy there kind of represents like a stronger hold on that as being just their territory, not to be negotiated away in the future. The idea that October 7th happened because the embassy is a meme. No shot you believe that shit. So the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, the acceptance to begin defunding I want to say Farha, it's not that. The UN's Palestinian UNRWA, sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Supporting Netanyahu's goal of defunding UNRWA, and then the Abraham Accords, which sidestepped any conversation about the Palestinians, were all things that led to an increase in Palestinian resentment. And all of these things fed into the Great March of Return. Nothing came from the Great March of Return, and then all the discontent and everything from there fed into eventually what would become the October 7th attacks. Like, yeah, if Palestinians feel like nothing is happening, then they're just going to keep terrorist attacking until shit gets figured out. There's nothing on the table. There's nothing to look forward to. There's no deals. There's nothing being worked out peace-wise, like P-I-E-C-E. There's not like a peace-wise peace agreement or anything. So, yeah. Are you in favor of the move? Fuck no. I don't think any concession should be made to Israel until they negotiate something with the Palestinians. They're just going to get like terrorist attack again in the future. I'm not going to have any sympathy for them. It's fucking stupid. I mean, like October 7th was sad, but I mean, like, Jesus, like what the fuck do you expect to happen? Like, why are you pretending like this problem is just going to go away? Either man the fuck up and genocide them all like Turkey would, because that's what the Turks love, or every other surrounding Arab state, okay? Embrace your Middle Eastern heritage, or be a big boy and sit down and try to fucking figure out some actual deal with the U.S. as your backer, right, to enforce it, and then bring some other Arab states into the fold to figure it out. You have to do something. You can't just keep kicking the can down the road, pretending that it's going to magically fix itself or whatever, you know?
I go home, I tell the First Lady, and I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, yeah, look. I go home, I tell the First Lady, and I spoke to...
If the Palestinians want a deal, why did they never put one on the table? Because they can just keep fighting, and the whole international community, like retard, supports their infinite fight. So they feel like they can keep fighting. Israel feels like they can keep fighting, and they'll be fighting forever, based.
Do you think Jerome Powell himself directed certain contracts or gave a wink about certain contracts? Because the price of renovating the Federal Reserve building is so high?
I don't know, but he's so pompous. He's so arrogant. You have one of the most popular, if not, I believe, the most popular president in history. This gentleman, President Trump, just won a landslide victory.
The most popular president in history? Like, isn't he one of the most unpopular? Like, it's just crazy. You can just like say random crazy shit about whatever.
And the president doesn't want him there. And he's just so pompous, so arrogant. It's time for Powell to go. He's too late with his resignation, okay? And he's going to be too late resigning. But I think, as I said, I think this building will be the end of his career. I don't mean that in a mean way, but you know what? We have to get on with the American business. We have to get on with the American economy. As you know, I oversee Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Americans are hurting because of what happened the last 4 years with Biden. We need something new. Powell's got to go, and I'm hearing, you know, from a lot of people that he's thinking about leaving. So let's hope to God he does it and does it soon.
Do you think
You ever think of the characters from 1984 when you're talking to conservatives? Not actively. I've got an exciting announcement about my political future. Hashtag Trump 2028. Oh, he puts that there. This degenerate fuck, though, would actually unironically defend it. So I don't know why he puts this as a joke. New Jersey was hit hard by flash flooding as slow-moving thunderstorms dumped 4 to 7 inches of rain across the state. Damn. This is 4 to 7 inches of rain? Or does it like accumulate or in places or? Rip.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing a wagered multi-stream debate like Root Claim? I think it could be good content. I mean, it would be incredibly boring. Not that I have anything against that. I love doing boring content. Honestly, the biggest thing that would deter me from doing it, the biggest fear I would have would just come down to it would come down really to picking judges. I don't know. I would just be so triggered based on picking judges. Yeah. Lowering interest rates right now would be retarded, right? With tariffs fallout looming, wouldn't inflation skyrocket? Trump doesn't give a fuck. Trump doesn't care. He's all in favor of lowering interest rates just because it temporarily boosts the economy. By the time inflation, all that shit picks up, hopefully he's out of office and he won't give a fuck.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I think we're good for that.
Damn. Rip.